Well, hello, wonderful SFUSD coaches. Ollie the AI Owl here to tell you about our exciting upcoming PD session on AI. We're hoping you'll join us to learn more about what is AI? What are some common concerns with AI? What is prompt generation and how can you use it to work smarter, not harder? And don't worry, you'll have time to try out some tools and talk with your colleagues.
Yeah, our agenda is going over a little bit about what AI is, a short community builder, and then we're going to look at concerns with AI, some of the policies that we've adopted in SFUSD around AI, and then we're going to look at how to generate prompts that you can use as a coach, and we'll have some workshop time, and then closing moves. So, AI or generative AI, or a lot of these different terms, is being used right now. It's the ability of a computer or robot controlled by a computer to do tasks that are usually done by humans because they require human intelligence and discernment. So AI is already starting to show up in a lot of our everyday devices, the Waymo cars, your smart speakers, and Google Assistants and things like that are using this technology. And it is becoming more and more prevalent in our lives. So generative AI is when it can generate a response based on patterns it's learned from huge amounts of text. And it's similar to a toddler. It can show new skills that can surprise us. It's moldable. It's constantly improving. It can learn quickly, but it doesn't always understand nuances and details. So generative AI are frequently those AI tools that have a chatbot style user interface where you type it in something in a response as if you were chatting with a friend on texting on your phone, and it delivers a response back. So generative AI, there's creativity. It can create new and original content autonomously, such as text, images, music, without direct human input. It learns from data. It takes giant sets of data, learning patterns and structures, enabling it to generate contextually relevant and coherent outputs. And it's adaptable. Generative AI can adapt its output based on different inputs, making it versatile for various applications like content creation, language translation, and more. So we're going to kind of like see, this is kind of a cool little look at how AI works. We recommend that you mute your computer when you do this, or you turn off, you mute your box so we're not all hearing it at the same time. But this is a kind of a game that Google put out to kind of show what they were doing. And what you're going to try and do is try and do 6 of these drawings really quickly. And when you get to the last page, it's going to kind of show you a little bit about what is going on with Google. Or Kathleen, do we want to just do one together for the group, or do we want people to do their own?
We can have people do their own and also show it at the same time. I don't have a problem. I can open that up on my screen here.
Okay.
So go ahead and try it on your own, and I will mute myself, but I'm going to present it just so you can kind of see what's going on.
So Kathleen has 20 seconds to draw a camera, and Google's going to, see, it already guessed what she was drawing. And so while it's giving her the thing, it does not know what the other part of the program has told her that she is supposed to be drawing. But it is taking in that image and trying to really quickly go through everything it can to figure out what it is that she is trying to draw. And you can see it's pretty accurate pretty quickly. And so it's cool here, Kathleen can see, so if she goes in and clicks on one of those drawings that she did, it will show the three things it possibly thought it was seeing, either calendar or power outlet. But then what it shows below that is it has all the different calculators that people drew, and it uses these drawings from people to try and decide what it is that it is drawing. So it just is kind of showing just these massive data sets that allows it to start being a tool that can visually recognize things. Using artificial intelligence, that it learned what a person drawing a calendar looks like with their mouse from these huge sets. Yeah, exactly. That we're helping making it smarter by going through it. Right. So that's a fun one. I've used that one with students as a. Oh, whoops! We're supposed to reflection part. But this is a really fun one you can use with students just to kind of see what AI is really quickly, and just this idea of big image sets. I think we'll just keep going on. So where does AI fit in to school and as an educator? So saving your time and mental load by creating rough drafts of emails, rubrics, choice boards and learning menus, adjust a text to a different reading level, unit plans or lesson sequences and meeting agendas, stuff where there's like lots of moving parts that you need to generate. Just like that first pass at it, it can be really helpful to generate. And thinking of AI in some ways, when we're starting to think about how it's going to be entering into our schools and with our teachers, we're thinking of it a little bit more and more as much as possible as AI or generative AI chatbots are to ELA and writing as a calculator is to math. It's still going to require students understanding the underlying principles. There is some benefit for it quickly churning out rough ideas and drafts to be revised. And while there's still a lot we're trying to figure out about how this will work, we are understanding that this is not going away. This will be part of our students' lives for the rest of their lives, and how to use these tools is going to be something we need to be thinking a lot about. And today, we're going to talk less about the student side, and we're going to talk more about the teacher, how the coach can use it. And it can be very helpful, I think, for a coach to use it in their practical life to start getting a better sense of how it's then going to filter into their students' lives. I've learned a lot about how to reframe my thinking about how students are using it based on how I've started to use it in my day-to-day work life. Yeah. So there are some big concerns about AI. So the big ones are the bias and inaccuracy. AI can hallucinate. It takes large patterns or large sets of data and tries to generate patterns, but it sometimes finds things that are not actually there. It can also sometimes pick out information that was not, it can't understand contextually, and it will generate it as if it is supposed to be serious. My husband has a very favorite example of this, where it was a person jokingly said to add Elmer's glue to your pizza cheese to make it not slide off your pizza. And because one person wrote this, it regularly was being put into recipes for ChatGPT Pizza, was to put Elmer glue into your pizza. So AI also has an algorithm bias. It makes decisions based on these large amounts of data, and data has been biased around human decisions about how to collect that data, who is counted, and then also will perpetuate historical and social inequities. And there's a potential to perpetuate harmful stereotypes. There's a famous example of how it understood. There was one AI that was starting to translate the female of doctor as nurse. So things like that, where it would have corrupted data sets or biased data sets, and then it would start acting as if that was how language was supposed to work. So remembering AI is a tool, not a mind. It requires to be informed drivers and decision makers. It's a tool to support our work, not a brain doing our work, and we have a responsibility to review, personalize, and adapt its responses. There are some additional resources that you can look in that touches on these things later that are linked there. And then also a big one is data privacy. AI is able to work through massive amounts of data. And there are a lot of questions about where is this data coming from, where is it stored, who can access it, and under what circumstances can it be stored. So it also can be used to make incredibly accurate inferences about people, location preferences, and habits, which opens up the potential for identity theft and for surveillance. So with that, there's a couple things we want to say about data privacy and AI in SFUSD. So our current policy is that you do not sign into any AI software with an SFUSD login. So if you are wanting to use these tools, you are going to be doing it with a personal personal email address. We do not have currently any apps approved through our app approval process with AI. Kathleen, did you want to, or Dan, did you want to touch on that, or?
I was going to say we're working hard on getting some approved AI tools, but currently there aren't any. And I will add, there's nothing that will stop us from having you use your SFUSD login, but we want to make sure that you are not using it until we have an approved tool, just because of its nature of what might be going in there.
So never input student data into an AI app. So just that can include large lists of names or test scores or things like that. And do not use AI for IEPs or grading. And then you can see all our AI related resources at this website that Kathleen, Dan, and I made last year. Right. That's what we already went over. Okay.
Yeah, so we want to hear from you. Yeah, what are you excited about? How AI can be used, and what makes you nervous about using AI? You can type it in the chat, or we're a small group, so if anybody wants to unmute, we'd love to hear from you, just to kind of check in with where you're at. We're kind of just still doing the intro part, but want to see where everyone is at.
Some teachers have modified, say, an article, the readability of an article using, I'm not sure if they use ChatGPT. I'm not sure what they used, but, make it kind of level different pieces of writing so that kids can do research and read about, say, an historical figure that the reading level's too difficult in other research.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. Yeah, that's definitely one really cool thing that you can use it for. Anybody else want to unmute or type into the chat?
I don't even know what the possibilities are. So that's why I'm here. I am interested in it, but would like to see how people have been already using it, and a tool that's useful and not adding an extra step to things that I can already do quickly.
Awesome.
So in my case, for example, it is so useful to save time when it comes to adapt materials for my students, especially for their level, or also if I have to design rubrics to evaluate certain works. So it's so helpful in that way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
And in addition to adapting, just generating some texts, if there's a new show that just came out on Netflix that all the students are talking about in your classroom, you can have something where you target the reading skill and say, write out a text about, whatever it is at this grade reading level, and, with a focus on central ideas or something like that. All right. Yeah. So we have 3 different generative AI chatbots that we've been seeing a lot of people use. There's ChatGPT, which is kind of the well-known one. There is Google Gemini. Kind of as a point, Google Gemini you literally can't log into if you have an SFUSD account. But so it will say you are not allowed to if you're signed in with the SFUSD account. But I play around with it with my personal email. And then Magic School AI is one of the examples of a number one of these. It's ChatGPT or one of these other things, but it's kind of tried to they've tried to focus how it outputs its information to reach a particular audience. So Magic School AI is a chatbot experience that is designed very explicitly for teachers to be using. So sometimes the prompts and the things it outputs is a little bit more given a little bit more guidance in the back end to get immediately for teachers. And so it can be nice, but I can say that with good prompt generation, it doesn't really give anything more specifically better than ChatGPT or Google Gemini. But it can be nice when you're just starting out because it will kind of add some more information to your prompts to get something directly for what you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time working with one of these. But the big part of how this works is by entering in a prompt. So tips on crafting prompts is be specific, include lots and lots of detail and context of your prompt. Use natural language, right? Like you would to a person. In full sentences with grammar. It can be nice to specify the tone that you'd like to the AI to respond in. So lighthearted manner, professional tone, add some humor, etc. And then assigning the chatbot a role. So telling the chatbot what you want it to be. So if you ask the question, explain the workings of the sun to me, you could get a response that you wouldn't really be able to use in your classroom. But if you say, assume the role of a primary teacher, explain the workings of the sun to a class of 7-year-old students, that will give it a way to think through how it's going to respond and how it's going to output its language. So check your prompts for bias and accuracy. So this is once you've created a response, that's what this is. So check for bias and accuracy. Think of it as the 80-20 approach. Make sure at least 20% of your final product is something that you have added to it to make sure that you're not letting it just kind of run on autopilot, which will let some of those biases and inaccuracies slip in. Really know that your judgment is important. Know the limits. So AI is kind of constantly updating, but you can imagine that it's got a little bit of a few years delay as it's waiting for more data to catch up. So right now you can think roughly AI's knowledge is stopping at 2021. And as always, protect the privacy, not including personal student details like names and addresses, and remove any accidentally submitted information. All right, I'll turn it over to Kathleen.
All right, and so yeah, just one more check-in before we really dive into the workshop time. And I know some folks shared some things that they'd like to try, but now that we've sort of talked about different prompts, what are you most excited to try with AI? You can drop it in the chat or unmute during this next 20 minutes after I give out the prompts. We're gonna break it up, but what are you excited to try out? What are you looking forward to? I know some people mentioned some time-saving things, so what are you excited to try in this workshop time?
So we talked about things like agendas, emails, scopes and sequences.
Awesome. Start a personal account on Magic School. See what's offered. Great. Agendas and emails. Awesome. So as you're thinking about what you'd like to dive into, so for the workshop time, we're going to start. So we're going to break this up into 3 parts. The first part is just going to be 5 minutes to use ChatGPT GPT to do to analyze data, draft an agenda, draft an email with feedback to a teacher, or some other ideas that you already have in mind. Some folks listed them here. And then we're going to come back together after the 5 minutes, and we're going to check in and see how that went the first time around. And then we're going to talk about how to modify what you created to get more specific results with further prompts. So how you can kind of curate your response to really be what you're looking for. And we'll kind of talk about how to refine it. And then our last 10 minutes will be to share out and reflect on the process. So we are going to spend 5 minutes to come up with a few prompts of data analysis, agendas, or email drafts. And I have, and I'll drop it in the chat as well, but it's in the slide deck, a few example prompts for coaches. So this first half are just some ideas of different things that you could try out. I know some folks shared some ideas, but if you're not sure where to start, here's some ways to get started, to create an email or observation notes, session plan development, a data summary, agenda creation. So here it has some actual prompts that you can get started with for this first 5-minute round. And if you are thinking more on the teacher side, classroom side, there's also the second page has prompts for educators. So these are more for lesson instruction. So these are ways that you might work with one of your teachers to craft some supports for students. So I wanted to make sure I left that on there as a resource for you.
Thank you for joining us today to learn more about AI for coaches. Make sure to access today's slide deck below. Looking forward to continuing to learn with you.